believe it. Because if you believe it and you get fired up about it, people will also get behind you and do it. But if you are half-hearted, why? Why would, people like to understand that why, right? They want to know what's the why. And if your why is good, go for it. Go for it. There are we had pet rocks that were a thing. Like, people bought them up like crazy. It was somebody's idea. It came out of somebody's brain. So yeah, believe that you can.
All right. Good morning, Savannah, and welcome to Savannah Business Showcase. I'm your host, Taraz, and I'm here this morning with a very special guest, Miss Carolyn Williams, ForMyCard.com. She's a founding member of the company. And before I let you introduce yourself, I like to put most of the guests through a scenario. So here's a scenario. You are walking in your neighborhood. A little kid comes up to you and says, "Carolyn, you're my hero. How can I be like? I want to be like you when I grow up." So in the language that a 10 or 12-year-old can understand, what does it take to be Carolyn Williams?
This is good. I would, a 10-year-old, I would say lead with kindness. That would be the most important thing I could impart to any individual. It's a choice. And it doesn't usually fail you. You don't usually regret being kind. So.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, all right, short and sweet. I like that. Okay.
He skateboarded away from me now.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about For My Card and what you do.
For My Card it's an online product. It's a subscription-based service for a business card for smartphones. It takes a person's business card. It looks just like their physical business card. It's on a smartphone and it's touch responsive, a touch to call or email, drive people to websites, their YouTube channel, a booking site, a reservation page for a restaurant, whatever the customer wants. So it's completely customizable. They can be shared via text, email, and social media. And when they're given, so if you're at a networking event, for instance, and you're handing out your card, so to speak, you get the contact information of the person to whom you gave it. So that's a great way to follow up. It's a really great business tool, particularly for people that do a lot of networking. So they can follow up and build their client base or their newsletter or something like that, and they include them on that. So it's a product to help people make more money.
Gotcha.
That's what it is.
Gotcha. Awesome. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of networking lately for this show and also for a business I just launched, and I hate business cards. So I appreciate what you're doing because I think I'm going to have to check it out.
You go around with that rubber bands. You might have 5, you might have 50, the console of a car, the bottom of handbags,
right.
Briefcases, and you dig through them. They're all on your phone, they're on your smartphone, and they're searchable by name.
Right.
So you can go.
How often do you really go back through your business card?
Yeah.
It's usually one person.
And then you know them by name, right? If it's somebody that you know that
right,
you like
right.
them, you trust them, so you're gonna quickly know who they are.
Right.
And that way, people ask all the time, will they go directly into my contacts? Well, no, you can add it to your contacts, but they can be saved onto your smartphone, right? It looks like an icon. You can create a folder to have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them on your phone, and they're searchable by name. So I'm not going to refer someone that I don't really know.
So where did the idea come from?
We have a large format printing company, and we do display. It's called Artistic Images, and it's out of Charlotte, North Carolina. It does in-store display, usually for retail. If you walk into a retail store and see pictures and words. But people are nice, and they asked us to print their business cards all the time, and we would. But there's no real, bill paying money in those projects. And the fact that we all walk around with a smartphone in our hand,
right? You
You will run back if it gets too far away from you for 10 minutes. We get a little shaky. We got to have our phone. We'll run out of the house without our money before we run out of the house without it. Yeah. We can pay for things with our smartphones, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So our whole lives are wrapped up into this little computer that we carry around. So that keeps all of our business cards. The people. I have them. Once I have one on my phone, I can share it with anybody. I can drop it into a message on social media. Somebody on Facebook says, "I'm looking for a plumber." No, a plumber. I don't just say, "Here's a name." I can give them the entire business card. They just touch it and call. So it's worked out really well.
Awesome. Okay, so as you say, I'm from the Charlotte area too. So I'm a fellow Charlatan. What brought you down here?
My husband and I met in Fort Lauderdale, and we both love the beach. We always talked about getting a place at the beach, and it took 2 years to finally find one on Tybee Island. And I was thinking, okay, weekends and holidays and summers, we barely closed on a house, and my husband's like, I'll go back and forth. I'll do that commute when necessary.
Yeah.
You can stay here. So it's a pretty sweet deal.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
love Tybee Island. It's a wonderful community.
That's a nice little commute.
Oh yeah, 4.5 hours.
Yeah.
But it's the same to Atlanta. And we know
That's
lots
true,
of people
right.
that go to Atlanta for business from here. So
That's true. Okay. So what's your favorite restaurant here? I have in-laws coming in. Here on Tybee specifically.
Okay, if I only get to choose one.
2. Give me 2.
Can I go 3-ish? Sunday Cafe is a wonderful place.
Okay.
Whenever to meet people that are here on vacation, and then like treat yourself to dinner there at least once. You know,
Sunday Cafe?
Sunday. Make
Sunday.
a dinner reservation and really plan for that, and it's excellent. The same chef has A&E Gastropub, so it's kind of a twofer, which is much more casual, more burgers and stuff like that. But and then North Beach Grill. You can't beat that vibe there. And but see, it's like choosing. These are wonderful people, and Huckapoo's you got to go to just for the whole experience. And it's Huckapoo's around here on the north end.
Okay.
It's you get like a quarter of a pizza for one slice for hardly any money, and really cheap drinks and beers, and a lot of nice people.
Okay.
So
thank you.
Yes, it's hard to choose just one. It's like, do you want to see water? Do you want to see a sunset? Do you want to see a sunrise?
Right. Yeah, I'm not. So we stay in Richmond Hill, so I'm not super familiar with it here yet. But I so I always end up taking people back to Savannah to get something to eat.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Oh, bring
thank you
it
for that.
here.
I will. Cool. Okay. So why entrepreneurship? What did you do before?
Before For My Card? Mm-hmm. Well, we've had our printing business since the 80s.
Okay.
We've worked together my whole grown-up life.
Yeah.
I'm still working on it. This is as far as I've gotten. This is the oldest I've been yet. So we've only been working together, I guess, 30-something years.
That's awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome.
And we have entrepreneurs, and we've raised entrepreneurs. We come from entrepreneurs. So it just makes a lot of sense.
Okay. So how did you get into the printing business?
Gay, my husband, is an artist.
Gotcha.
And went to art school and has all those skills.
Okay.
I have this skill. I do a lot of the talking. As annoying as it may be for others, that's what I bring.
Yeah. Cool. Hey, you have to do what you're good at.
Well, that's another thing I discovered living on Tybee. They tell you to find something you're good at and stick with it, and I found nothing, and I do it as often as possible. I'm excellent at nothing.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Cool. So why never just? So you said you come from entrepreneurs. So you never wanted to get a job. You never wanted to have a 9-to-5.
Oh, yeah. I did do that. I was on the other end of Dunning letters for American Express.
Okay.
That's great. People call you and they're not in the best mood. But you have to pretend you are.
Yeah.
That actually was a very good job, and learned good skills. I got that job right after high school. Okay. And the company itself is fantastic. They do a lot of internal training. But we had a little side business at the time doing some printing and airbrushing, and that just kind of evolved into a bigger deal. Instead of doing shirts and things like that, we got into what the industry calls flats.
Gotcha.
So paper, ink on flat things is how.
Okay.
For that 10-year-old, we put ink on flat things.
For me. Okay. Cool. I'm trying to get you to expound on something.
I'm too short answer.
You're not short, but you're quick. So, entrepreneurship. It's a business show, and you're involved a lot with BNI, right? So, how has networking helped your business?
The word networking used to make my skin crawl. And when I was invited to BNI, Business Network International, several times before I finally went. The whole thing of a weekly commitment made me make a face and not want to do it. The fact that I had to I didn't even know this when I went in. I thought I was going as a visitor and just trying to see what it was. I think you've had this experience too. And then next thing you know, now you stand up and speak for 60 seconds, which seems like an eternity the first time you do it to a room full of strangers. And then, but I heard their main philosophy is givers gain. And I saw how there was a connection with these people. Right. And they were enjoying themselves for this hour and a half once a week. I filled out an application at the very first visit. Okay. And, submitted it, and it was approved. And then I had to start attending, which I was sick and nervous. And the whole networking thing, I hated it. When you go and you're like, hey, how you doing? Here's my business card. Hey, how you doing? Here's my business card. It's like, what can you do for me kind of a thing? And I heard a great term for it. It's face-to-face cold calling. And there's a kind of a joke around BNI's. BNI is the cure for the face-to-face cold call.
Okay.
Or cold call, common cold call. Blow jokes. So I'm not a comedian. But BNI really did a whole number on personal growth.
Yeah.
I can stand up in front of people at moment's notice or less and be able to speak about either my business or BNI, which is referral networking. And they run an agenda. So it's very structured. It's not this just open, you feel like you went in, you spoke to 3 or 4 people, and then you left a networking event.
Right.
These people really get to know you. Your chapter, very loyal, a lot of high energy and competitiveness anyway with these people, and full commitments. These people get very committed to each other, but that follows everything they do, whether it's in their community, their faith community, their almost everybody is involved with at least one, if not more, nonprofit.
Got you. Yeah.
So BNI has been a wonderful thing. I joined first with the printing company, then we took For My Card out as a product for it and did that separately. I was a growth coordinator right away, about just a month or so into being a member, the president of a chapter, an ambassador for the region, a director consultant for the region, and as of November 1st, I'm the area director for the Savannah region.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been
quite a ride. That's pretty impressive. So why? Like why did you want to go through the ranks, rise through the ranks like that?
I love helping people. That I can get behind that. When we sat down and we were thinking about our mission for Artistic Images, and then again for formycard.com, it's how can we help people make more money? And that is the whole reason BNI exists, is to help people make more money, help our members make more money, and it's just a bonus that we have a good time doing it.
Awesome.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
So Ivan Meisner is the founder of BNI, and it was about 32 years ago when it was started. And there are chapters all over the world. They're done in so many different languages, but it's the same agenda.
Yeah.
Run for every meeting, and it's working. Our region closed almost $15 million in business last year. Yeah, wow. That's just Hilton Head, Savannah.
That's crazy.
It is. So when people hear that and they realize that last year we call them seats or lanes, because there can only be one person representing any profession or industry. Right. So you can have 3 attorneys perhaps, but one is going to be a closing attorney, one will be a family attorney, one might be, a litigator.
Gotcha.
And so there's only one person doing one particular thing. So you'll have completely different walks of life. You've white collar and blue collar, and people that are in multi-level marketing, selling products. But what they do is they keep each other in mind constantly. So you have this sales force that reaches all these different people. Because everybody has about 250 people over. They have some sort of influence, right?
Gotcha.
So if it's your family, your friends, your neighbors, the other people you work with, you can talk about, oh, wait, did you just say you needed a fill in the blank? I know one, and I'd like to make that introduction. So that's another short way of how BNI works. But it's been fantastic. It's also a wonderful way for people that move to this area or any area, join a BNI chapter, get to know those people, because they take you in. They introduce you to everyone else they know, because we're all accountable to each other.
Right.
We all lean on each other's credibility. So it's a wonderful way to learn and make friends. So we have a lot of members that when they relocate, typically they're coming from Ohio, Pennsylvania,
really,
little chilly places, and come down here. And then the first thing they do is find a BNI chapter.
It makes a lot of sense. I mean, when I went, I've been to, I think that was the first one I went to, but it was fun. Honestly, it was fun.
And each one has its own personality, right? Yeah. There's a little bit different, same agenda, but it has a different feel, and that's why people tend to go to different ones so they find the one that fits for them.
Got you. Do you guys ever do like any big events for the whole area? Or?
We do.
Yeah.
Yes, they're a very social group. We'll get together for breakfast or dinners or lunches or cocktails, and of course both sides of the river, of this whole low country. So about once a quarter at the minimum. We were here all sitting around the table last night, the regional team.
Okay.
Talking about our next one. So
nice.
We've got plans, and it's open to anybody. I mean, we all go, but we would love to have anybody come join us. So we tell all of our friends and family, and sometimes it's easier to make those introductions for people when you're all social and relaxing.
Right. So I guess this is my hang up. So the business I started is kind of a unique business. It's not an attorney. It's not a house cleaner. It's not a real estate agent. So are those the companies that get the most value from BNI, or does any kind of company?
You would be surprised. Yeah, there's we have a very successful stained glass artist in our area. I'm trying to think of some of the more unusual ones. There are people that do house sitting type services because we have a lot of homes here that are in the vacation rental or they're winter homes, so they have to be checked on regularly. So that's been in several of the chapters. I'm trying to get off the norm. Typically, you can start a chapter. We call it the firm. It's finance, insurance, real estate, mortgages. Okay. And those people will elbow each other trying to get into a chapter. It's really difficult for them to get into an established chapter.
I bet, yeah.
So what they do is they get together and they get about 10 or 15 people, and then we work with them and grow it to where they can launch and have their own separate chapter. The chapter is really, it belongs to the members, and any support from the leadership team in the chapter or the regional team is all 100% support. So if you think of it like almost inverted pyramid, everyone's there to make sure the members are getting the best experience.
Awesome. So how many chapters can you have in an area?
Well, you can have them as long as you can. There's enough people to do it, right? We are working on our 12th chapter just in the Savannah side.
Okay, I need to go see some more.
Yeah, it used to just be there was one, and then Crosstown Connections, and then there were a few more. We launched 4 in the last year and a half, 2 years, at least 4 more, and then that's not even including what happened on Hilton Head and Bluffton. Okatee has like 6. It's insane. They chartered one with 40 people.
Wow. Where's Okatee?
It's over there by Bluffton, Hilton Head area.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Your GPS calls it Katie. Sure. So maybe if you're only listening to your GPS, you'll never find Okatee.
Go to Katie.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Awesome. All right. So is the sales come naturally to you then? Do you think?
I always try to find a solution and it would be helpful. And sales to me sounds like I'm going to talk somebody into something. I want to be able to provide value and service, and that was another thing when we first started our first company, and then for my card. This is people we go see. They had this need, and this is what we do, and this is how we do it, and how can we help? But so sales, the term sales, always kind of it's like right up there with that word networking. Networking event, but so I guess it just relationships, working with people, getting to know them, and finding out how we can help. And even if I'm not the one that can help, you become the guy that knows a guy.
Yeah,
I know a guy.
Yeah, it seems like Savannah's good for that in general. The low country area, like everything's so small, everything's so tight knit that everybody does kind of want to help. I haven't met anybody yet who's kind of standoffish. Yeah.
Because somebody's going to know your mama. Somebody's going to tell on you if you're not nice around here. Everybody's related. So I was at a meeting today, and there was a visitor at a BNI chapter speaking to one of the regional team members. And as they were talking, her eyes changed. She looked at him. She's like, "I know your wife." So it's like it was all coming together. So yes, somebody's going to know somebody that's going to.
So how do you add value? So I know you said you've told me a goal a few times that you want to help business owners make more money. Right. So how do you add value? Like what do you think that value is?
Well, it's for my card. It's so easy because there's no one else doing this product this way, and all I have to do is show people mine when I hand it. When I share mine and they can see it instantly. So I just have to be quiet. More often than not, they start telling me, "Oh, did you know it can do this and it can do this and I can put." I'm like.
I do that. Yeah, I made it.
Some of the hardest things to do is to not
Shut
talk,
up, yeah.
right?
Very true.
It's that old 2 ears, 1 mouth, use them proportionately. Yeah. So so sales, it's just to be to add value. Even maybe it's not your product or service particularly. Maybe it is that you have a big network, a strong, solid network of reliable people. So even if they're not buying from you, you become valuable to as a resource for maybe somebody else that they'll remember you, right? And it gives you that opportunity to build a relationship. It gets beyond. It's so nice. We do things called one-to-ones and BNI, so we can get to know each other outside the meeting, and you can feel it because when it's that kind of first date questions. Oh, where'd you grow up? Do you have any siblings? How'd you get into your business? What was it that made you do that? And then there's that moment when it shifts, and you're like, we've gotten to this new place where if I had to run out of town, and I could call somebody from my chapter and say, "Can you watch my dog?" Or I don't have a dog, by the way, so that question will not be coming from me. But but that kind of thing.
I got you. Yeah.
There's another example, but it usually has to do with something much more tragic. Like, you know, people are over at your house bringing you food and stuff. But it's
Right.
just that your BNI people and your network becomes that. So, I would just say adding value and being a resource overall for people that, whether they're your customers, your neighbors, the people you're standing in line next to at Publix, is great.
So this mentality you have about giving, adding value, it's kind of like it's an upper level of sales, right? It's not. So I guess what I'm trying to ask is who have you learned from? Like who are your mentors?
Okay.
Who are your teachers?
Well, we always look at all these books and kind of laugh to each other. It's all Think and Grow Rich, right? So it's all that sort of same thread over and over. I'm a huge fan of Ivan Meisner, the founder of BNI, is a wealth of information.
Right.
It's one of the core values of BNI's education. So we have unlimited resource podcasts that Dr. Meisner does with members and other people within the business community. It's so good. Roy H. Williams, the founder of the Wizard Academy, with his wife Penny.
Okay.
It's amazing.
I've never heard of them.
Oh, it's so good. They're out of Austin, Texas. That's where the Wizard Academy is. And there's a Monday morning memo that comes in your email box every Monday. He wrote The Wizard of Ads, and then it's a series of books. I'm a big fan of all of his marketing, advertising.
Awesome.
And I've been fortunate enough to go out to the Wizard Academy a couple of times.
Oh, nice.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's grown up Disneyland for your brain. It's really cool.
Have you ever met? Is it Dr. Meisner? Yeah.
Yes, several times, and
Okay.
his lovely wife as well. We had a national conference here in Savannah a few years ago, and then when I went for director training, the corporate team as well as Dr. Meisner were our trainers, and then we had national conference was in Charlotte this past spring. Okay. And they're very, very involved and very accessible through social media as well. And then there's a social media concept, I guess that's right, social media side to BNI Connect, so when you're a member, and you can connect with people from all over the world. I've had great conversations with other entrepreneurs and business owners in like South Africa, India. It's huge in India.
Really?
Huge. Their chapters have like 100 plus people.
That's crazy.
It's definitely a culture.
It's a large population there, but still.
And it's sort of it's the cool thing to do. Like, you want to be in a BNI chapter for whatever reason in India. So.
Yeah. Well, there's a reason.
There's
a reason here. Anytime I ask an entrepreneur who goes to a lot of different networking events, which one they get the most value from, 9 times out of 10 they say BNI.
You're right. Or they've never heard of it.
Or they never heard of it. That's true. Yeah.
It's like the secret society, because it's a compliment. If you get invited to a chapter, somebody sees something in you, right? Because again, we'll go back to that like friendly competition. They want the best people in their chapter. It was when they refer each other. Again, they're spending each other's capital, right, on your credibility. So they want you, when you get invited, you should feel like I'm doing it right? Because people are noticing what I do in whatever particular industry or profession I'm in.
Good to know.
So, yeah.
Good to know. We're going to take a break in a few minutes. Before that, who's your favorite comedian right now?
I'm going to go local. I'm going to go with Colin Moulton. Colin Moulton. He does barefoot comedy out here on Tybee once a month. Okay. And brings...
So that's a club, Barefoot Comedy Club?
It's the Tybee Post Theater, but he does the Barefoot Comedy show there once a month. And Rabbi Robert Haas, a local rabbi here, is part of his crew. And he brings in another national touring comedian, people that you would recognize. And but I think as far as like dialed something up on Netflix recently, because I took a chance on it, and it was Ryan Hamilton.
Yeah, I watched it. You told me about him.
I love that guy. This cracks me up. And when I put it on, I looked at one of our sons. He's 19. And I was like, is he 19? Yeah, he's 19. And said, my in-laws were here celebrating their 61st wedding anniversary, and we just finished dinner. I'm like, I never heard of this guy. You think it's okay? He looked at me, I don't even know. And it was perfectly fine. So you can have multi-generations watching the same comedian. Yeah. So you did watch it, and
I did watch it.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was good. I enjoyed it. I chuckled quite a bit. It was a good show.
You ever see that clean cut kind of person? I'm like, oh, he could sell ice cream in the 50s.
That's right. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So I love comedy. I've done there's a station, there's a program on the station where he interviews local comedians. It's pretty cool. He does he's just trying to get people out. It's called Savannah at Night or something like that. But it's a pretty good show. He's an old guy. He's like 70 years old, 75. But he just started doing stand up a few years ago.
That's cool.
And he's actually like a paid comedian now. So he went to like I forget what he said. He did some kind of event, and he got paid for it. So it's pretty cool.
That's it. That makes you a pro.
Yeah, cool. And I did it. I tried it. I did one open mic. I got a few laughs, and I ran off the stage. But but I might do it again. Heart
pounded through your. But that's at adrenaline. Some people have to jump out of airplanes to get that feeling. Just walk up on a stage and tell a story. That's
right. Get a mic in your hand. You get the blood pumping. That's true.
Keeps your insurance costs down.
Okay. But before we go to break, do you want to say anything else about For My Card or BNI? Did I leave anything else out?
I don't believe you did. It is a very simple concept. It's just as the business cards have been around since we had paper, really, and we've got a whole little story. So it's just taking it to something that's more, more with technology and modern day.
Yeah.
But now you got me turned on to the whole comedian thing. I got supposed to sit and talk about comedian.
Oh, I mean, we have like 5 minutes. So. Anyway, so how can people find you? What's the best way for people to contact you?
We have a real simple website, the numeral 4, mycard.com, and then my email address is Carolyn, Carolyn, at 4mycard.com.
Awesome.
So it's easy enough to find, and of course, and there's social media. 4mycard.com is on Facebook, and people tend to put they'll drop in whenever they get one, or if we sell another one, we'll put it up there and say, hey, look who has an online card now.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a great little thing because people, like, for example, Junior gets his first big boy job out of college, and the whole family's super excited. I don't know if they're just proud of him or glad he's getting off their payroll, but then they can take that business card and share it with everybody,
That's
right?
true.
So it's like,
Yeah.
this is what Junior's doing now, and we're so proud. And share it here and share it there, and great aunts and grandmas and moms and all of those.
How do you design the cards, or is it just an image you upload?
Some people don't have a physical card. It doesn't exist at all. So we created the entire thing, which we've got graphic artists that can do that, or we take a picture or scan of their actual card.
Okay.
So it looks just like their business card. That was a little bit of two things were confusing. I've heard that all of them look alike, that they're all going to look like mine. No, that's not it. And the other one was it doesn't work on an Android, and that's not true either. It works on any platform, any browser.
Gotcha.
It's fine.
Awesome. All right, so we're going to take a quick break. Thank you guys for listening. I'll be right back with the lightning round with Carolyn Williams of ForMyCard.com. Guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in a second. All right, Savannah, welcome back to the Savannah Business Showcase. Once again, I'm here with a very special guest, Miss Carolyn Williams For My Card, and BNI, Regional Director, is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm still stunned. Nobody finds it funnier than I do. And there are a lot of people that think this is hilarious because I was so awful at BNI when I first joined. I could barely get my name out.
Yeah.
So the fact that there's the title now is hysterical.
Regional Director of BNI in the Savannah area. Or is it Savannah area?
It's Savannah. Our region now. We were Hilton Head, Savannah.
Okay.
But now we're friendly competition.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So here come the questions.
All right.
What did you want to be as a kid, and how does that relate to your current business?
See, I can actually say I'm doing what I always wanted to do. I wanted to be a wife and mother. How's that for not the coolest or politically correct answer you've ever heard? So there was that, or whatever show I liked at the time. So Mr. Brady was an architect. That seemed interesting for a while.
Mm-hmm.
There was, Julia was a nurse. That looked nice. Whatever. So I was very fickle. Mary Tyler Moore worked for TV. That was cool for a minute.
Yeah.
So, but mostly, and the most consistent thing was wife and mother. So.
Awesome. Okay. I'm the same way. I wanted to be a wife and mother. How have you approached failure in life?
Well, after the initial beating myself up, you just, now it's over, right? It's past. So try not to live in that. It doesn't have to define you unless you allow it to.
Right.
But that's not something that I knew my whole life. I was definitely with reading and learning how to forgive yourself for mistakes and being human. But failure sometimes can help you, a mistake, right? It can help you actually have a better opportunity to, it's like, say I mess up a print job for a customer, I'm thinking of something in the 80s, but if I fix it and turn it around and get it right back to them, and they're like still within their time frame,
Yeah.
they were thrilled. So you know what they did the next time is they gave us a bigger job, and a bigger job, and a better job, and a bigger. So that opportunity sometimes is failure can be an opportunity. So.
Very true. Who influenced you early in life, and who's your mentor now?
Oh, definitely my parents, and that guy. Yes, my husband. Yeah, he's excellent.
Awesome. I guess you just did, but tell me a story about a failure.
Oh yeah, oh gosh, seriously. We delivered this stuff on brand new substrate, so we thought we were using the right ink.
Remember, I'm a 12-year-old.
Okay, yeah. So this was this brand substrate is the material you're printing on, and it was a new plastic type thing, and we put ink on it, and it was so gorgeous. We covered it. We call it pre-mask, right? So you put it over the ink, so it wouldn't scratch, and there's no dust on it. It just keeps it extra pretty. You know, when you buy electronics, you peel all that plastic off, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Deliver the job. They could see through it, loved it, and they had all of all the members of the board all assembled already in the boardroom. So they ran it in there to show it to them, and they pulled that pre-mask off, and all the ink went with it.
Oh no!
You know, we're on the phone with ink companies and the place where we buy the plastic, and getting them to coordinate, and it was done again and back there the same day.
Oh, nice.
I mean, we were killing ourselves, but it got there,
Yeah.
and that was a real, opportunity for this particular company. We've been their supplier now for 30-something years.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So what advice do you have for a new entrepreneur who's going to face that same type of failure, the same type of issue?
Use it as an opportunity to show the best of yourself. You know, being angry, trying to blame, anything like that, it all comes back on you. So take a minute. This is happening. Own it. Fix it. Fix it the best that you can. And if you can't, admit it. Find somebody that can. And it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And patience. A lot of patience. Right? You start, I'm going to start this company. I'm going to make a lot of money. I'm going to do all this. I'm going to hire some people. It's okay. It will happen. Just let it, don't rush it. So.
I actually need that advice right now. How did you get your first client? You kind of told me that too, didn't you? A little bit.
I didn't know what I didn't know.
Okay.
I did have experience on the telephone with through American Express. When I first moved to Charlotte, I worked for a temp agency, and they had me telemarketing for a company. And so what I learned at American Express, I could bring over to that. But I was doing the cold calling. It's dreadful.
Yeah. Yeah,
so I try to be very gentle when I get cold called on a telemarketer.
Right.
Like I know there's an actual human being on the other end with a soul, contrary to popular belief. So that when I kind of fell off the track here. You want me to give you an example of failures?
No. How did you get your first client?
Oh, first client. So then I started when we had artistic images, I just started dialing for dollars, so to speak. Because if they didn't know we existed, they're never going to come to us for work. So I just started making phone calls, and titles have changed through the years. Back in the 80s, it was so cool to have vice president on your business card. So I got in with the vice president of a large department store. Okay. Took a meeting. I didn't realize that there were going to be other printers out in the waiting area too, and I was about 21 years old and the only female. So I think I was just kind of getting look at this. I'll give you a tour. But the next thing you know, here we are 30-something years later. Yeah. Still with that company. So we just went out there and asked for it. Yeah. Sometimes you just hang up the phone, put your head on your desk, cry an ugly cry, pull it together, and dial again.
That's true. It was a quote I heard earlier. Another one I'm working on. It is, vision without implementation is hallucination.
Oh, I haven't heard that. That's good.
Yeah, and that's kind of what you did. It was just all action. You had a vision, but you took the action. I didn't know about that then, right? I just and you just got up in the morning, you did stuff. But I've learned more and more about that in the last couple of years about really visioning. And prayer is huge. People ask me anytime, they're like, "Oh, what did you do to do this?" Well, I'm like, there's usually a whole lot of prayer. So that's always been something I lean heavily on. Yeah. But that's not typically in a business book. No. You'd be surprised. 99% of the people I've interviewed have always, it's a faith-based area down here. And it's It shows.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely shows because people are so nice and loving to one another for the most part.
I'm glad to hear. Yeah. We picked the right place to live.
Yeah. You have entrepreneurial kids. How many kids do you have again?
We have 4.
4?
Mm-hmm. One is National Guard, North Carolina, and one's full-time student and 3 part-time jobs. And the younger 2 work for My Card.
Okay. How did you get your children, like what did you teach your children about entrepreneurship?
That comes really more from my husband in that regard of really, I think, displaying it and talking. They would go into the shop when they were little, sometimes before school. So they just, between our family, my brother and sister-in-law, my sister and brother-in-law, everybody's self-employed and been running businesses. It just seems like that's what you do. Like you don't have to wait on someone else to offer you a job or get a paycheck or do it. Find something that you like, that you can get out of bed or look yourself in the mirror and still do. Make it happen.
You're good at, yeah. Awesome. What have you had to sacrifice in order to start your business?
What haven't we sacrificed? I mean, it depends. What talk about different years. Well, there was food for a while. That was fun. I took a part-time job at the Charlotte Coliseum when the Hornets were new.
Yeah.
And brought home leftover hot dogs and sub sandwiches.
Okay.
Yeah, that wasn't really the pocket change that they were paying us to be there. It was like, you're going to let us take home the food. This is great. So yeah, there's an hour sleep. Oh my gosh. Yeah. There was hardly any sleep. There was times we were using such toxic inks that we were wearing hazmat suits and wrapped the duct tape with the gloves on and wearing a respirator and printing at 2 a.m. I remember looking at it and going, I just love how we spend quality time together. But it sounded more like Darth Vader. You can't really understand each other. So yeah, there was, just so much trips. Like we didn't have a normal life. Everybody looked at us like a bunch of freaks. So, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I guess we were the people that they could always well, we're not those people, right? So it's just another little service we provide, helping people feel better about themselves. I guess they're not crazy.
Okay.
We drove some ugly cars.
I've been there. Trust me. I'm there. What's one thing in your business that drains you of energy, and what's one thing that excites you?
Seeing people, the excitement is easy. Seeing people get turned on to be able to do their dream, right? Whether we're doing the printing side or doing For My Card, that helps people get their thing, and that's super fun. Gay teases me all the time that I've been a cheerleader my entire life. So I've really just grown up to be a professional cheerleader, and that's why B&I is also feels like a good fit.
Gotcha.
But the thing that drains me is negativity, because it's the criticizing, condemning, complaining. Okay, just maybe you need to get a quick off your chest, but we're not going to keep going around in circles and looping because it's not helping, right? So that's just not even put it out there. It's not put it in the air. So it's exhausting.
What's something you consume religiously? Could be a blog, TV show, podcast, food.
Is beer part of my religious program? Well, yeah, my faith. Yeah, I would say that's true. Before I get out of bed, I read my devotional every day. But I guess before the end of the day, another devotional. I do love podcasts.
I just want to say that your husband gave you. I didn't know if he was giving you the cross to keep you away. The exorcist cross, or if he was saying to say faith.
Yeah, that's my friend Ron just taught me this one. High five, fist bump guy. So I go around like a lunatic all day long. Like it could be like, where are my keys? Oh, there are my keys. And I've been saying, I find myself doing this randomly. Yeah. And I met this lovely nun. She was doing a mission and visiting our church to talk about it. Mm-hmm. And a tiny woman from the Philippines, and she thought it was hysterical. And she goes around and goes, "Oh, I love to do the high five, fist bump God." And I'm like, okay. Yeah, there's a lot of thank you God, a lot of gratitude.
Good. Next question.
It did look like you were telling me to.
What's something most people don't know about you?
This is a question we do when you do a featured presentation in B&I. Okay. Tell us something. But the main thing that people are usually surprised to hear about me is that I won the 1979 Bassmasters tournament.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, for juniors.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because I strike you as the outdoorsy type, don't I?
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
no one ever says that. And it wasn't actually bass, but they just weighed what you caught.
Okay.
And it was the whole weight of the people in the boat. So there were like 4 of us in the boat.
Okay.
But for whatever reason,
What did you catch? Do you remember?
brim.
Oh, man. How many brim
A lot
did
of
you
brim.
catch? That's pretty cool. I just went kayak fishing. Do you guys still fish?
Not really.
Not really, though.
No.
Okay.
But we do kayak.
Okay. I just went kayak fishing for the first time this past weekend, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's amazing. There's this place right down here by the bridge, and they have fresh fish, and you can get shrimp off the boats. And,
No need to go out there.
oh no, right? I don't want to take someone's job. You know, you have to like, put bait on that hook too. It's kind of nasty.
It can get that way. Yeah, definitely. The kayaks still smell pretty bad right now. How do you stay motivated every day?
That would be going back on faith too. Yeah, I definitely read that devotional. I grew up Catholic. I've been Catholic all my life, so I'm really good at guilt. So if I start
Really
the
good
day
at guilt.
without doing the devotion, I'm like, oh, just start it again. So yeah, and I guess that would be the main thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. A few more. We'll start the round out. What is one of the best parties you've ever been to?
Oh, I don't know. That one weekend was pretty good. It was like went all weekend long. I went from meeting Billy Squire and Rat to the Ramones
Oh, wow.
and Robin Zander for Cheap Trick. That was a really good weekend. I don't know, you know what? I just recently though, when I said my in-laws were here, they were celebrating their 61st wedding anniversary, and that was just so great to have the whole family in one spot.
Yeah.
Because everybody's starting to get up and out, and my in-laws live in West Virginia, so it's not
Okay.
that easy of a trip.
Right.
But that was wonderful, and it was just our family.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I don't know. Living on Tybee is about having a party. It's about every day. Wednesday nights at Sandbar, open mic night. Huckapoos has live bands like
Yeah.
Thursday through. So yeah, there's always something going on.
Okay. What's the last experience that made you a stronger person?
Last one. I don't know. There was one a couple of years ago when there was a family member that needed my liver, and that was pretty intense to know how far are you willing to go for someone that you love.
Yeah.
And so there's things inside yourself you didn't know existed before until you're faced with something.
Yeah.
But it turned out that they didn't want a living donor at that point.
Okay.
But we got pretty far down the road on that.
Mm.
So that was huge.
I can understand why.
Yeah. But physically stronger. I was pulling the groceries out of the trunk of the car yesterday and I realized it was I don't know what's happening to the groceries. They're just getting heavier and heavier. I know where I'm weaker.
What's something you learned last week?
I can't remember last week.
Recently.
Well, there's been the new iPhone update. I got a whole bunch of stuff.
Okay.
I learned that you can't use the letter I anymore on your iPhone without it being some weird. Do you have an iPhone?
No.
Yeah,
What
it
happened?
gives you an A and a question mark and a box.
That's weird.
Yeah, so I've had to dive deep into the whole new operating system.
Oh man. Okay. What's your favorite book?
All right, so there's the book. The ones that, like you read more than once kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed Poisonwood Bible. That was a great novel. But I like anything. I love memoirs.
Okay.
So it's and particularly comedians. So
Okay.
whenever a comedian has one come out, so the most recent ones I think I've done Martin Short and was a good one.
Was pretty
recently.
good.
Yeah. Tina Fey's been a while. Tina Fey and Amy Poehler's books were So I really like those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. I haven't read any comedian memoirs yet, but I need to. I should.
And I've got a book for you too. Fired Up Selling.
Okay.
And it's all quotes.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And I learned about it through the Monday Morning Memo.
Okay.
The Monday Morning Radio.
I might have to check that out then. This might be too easy. What's a tool? It could be an app, a website, a physical tool that you couldn't run your business without.
Well, there's this fancy little business card thing. All right, let's beyond that would be our phone, right?
Right.
Yeah, your cell phone. Could not
Is there an app on that specifically outside of For My Card?
that I use all the time.
Yeah.
Well, let me go see which one comes up when you do the thing, the search, and it shows you the ones you're using the most. Apparently, weather. Enjoy the weather, the camera, audiobooks.
Okay.
My Audible. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an everyday thing.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I just bought a bunch. So there's a concept called Pareto's Principle, the 80-20 rule. 20% of the actions you take equal 80% of the results. So in your business, For My Card, in the print shop, what are the 20% of actions you take that gets you the most results?
I would say relationship building. Yeah, sincere relationship building versus that, the hey, how you doing? That kind of effort. And talking in the sales part of it.
Right.
He's the brains behind the rest of it, doing the art and running the other artists and knowing how to balance it all and the logistics of shipping it all over the country, and some of it goes out of the country. So
a few more. Is there a quote that's always been a mantra that you live by?
I do like people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I think that does say a lot. I try to remind myself that. Talking to people, you become the most interesting person in the room when you ask other people about themselves, right?
Yeah, that's true. Very true. Two more. If you had a superpower or ability, what would you choose and why?
Flying.
Easy one.
Yes, I mean that would be so great. We did this recently. My friend and I were talking about this. We were sitting around a table because we all didn't know each other very well. That was one of those questions. We threw it out there, and it was funny because my friend was like, "No, I'd want to be." I think she said invisible. And when she got home, she sent me a text. Her husband wanted to be invisible, and she goes, "Did you ask Kate?" I said, "Yeah." He said he wanted to fly. So now we have this unscientific thing: is you have to find your person is probably somebody that wants the same superpower. Like that might be a good fit for you. So, yeah. But why? But every time you see a bird, how cool is that?
Yeah.
They can go from place to place, or that gliding thing they do. That's nice.
I think it's something to do with freedom that most entrepreneurs want to fly. Yeah.
Yeah, see?
You want to be free.
I knew I was getting psychoanalyzed.
I waited to the end. And last question. Advice for entrepreneurial kids.
Believe it. Because if you believe it and you get fired up about it, people will also get behind you and do it. But if you are half-hearted, why? Why would, people like to understand that why, right? They want to know what's the why. And if your why is good, go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it. There are we had pet rocks that were a thing. Like people bought them up like crazy.
That's true.
It was somebody's idea. It came out of somebody's brain. So yeah, believe that you can. And I love these stories of kids that had an idea and go for it. And there was one recently, and it was on a podcast. And I wish I could tell you which podcast it was. And the whole family is working for the little girl who had a dog walking business. It turned into grooming, and it turned into boarding, and it's supporting an entire family. So it was because she enjoyed that. She enjoyed the pets, and the parents saw her passion for that and were able to get behind her. Yeah.
Great advice, great interview. Thank you for being on the show.
Oh, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Okay. So before we head out, how can people find you again?
There's formycard.com, the numeral formycard.com, and I'm Carolyn at formycard.com.
Awesome.
Great.
All right. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for tuning in again to the Savannah Business Showcase. As always, be the change you want to see in the world. We don't have much time left on Earth. We don't know how much time we have. So just go out there and do something. Take action. Be impactful. Give to somebody that you care about. Love you guys. Talk to you next time.